In Lesson 2, I'm going to teach you how to read my shelf list. The first thing we'll do is define what a shelf list is. Then I'll walk you through my color code that I use. We'll look at the call number column, the author column, the title column, the barcode column. We'll talk about price and status. We'll also look at circs, aka circulation. Your instructor should have sent you a shelf list or several shelf lists that look like this. So what does this actually represent? Here's our definition. If you were to write out the titles and authors and call numbers of all the books on an actual shelf, this would be the paper version of those books. So the very first book would be the first book on the shelf, the second book would be the second book on the shelf in alphabetical order by call number. Titles that do not get highlighted, like Locke, a novel by Paul Zindel, they do not need any corrections, but you're welcome to look at them just to see what a completed record looks like. Any records that are highlighted in green are going to need a little bit of correction. Records that are highlighted in pink need a lot of work. So we're not going to delete these because they're still on the shelf, but you will have to put more time into anything that's highlighted in pink. And I'll go into more detail on what you need to do there later. If it has a black line through it, we have deleted that from the collection. Your shelf list may have an error in the call number, so it's important to understand how call numbers work. Your shelf list comes from the fiction section in our library. Fiction books start with capital F, lowercase I, lowercase c, which represents the word fiction. The next three letters of the call number should be the first three letters of the author's last name. Here we see FIC for fiction and RYA for Ryan, the author's last name. In our nonfiction book section, FIC will be replaced by numbers. The call number 920 represents a collection of biographical stories. Alan Zulo is a children's book author who's famous for his biographical short stories, but on our shelf list, his title Haunted Teacher's True Ghost Stories is under a fiction call number. If you find a work of nonfiction on your list, please email me directly to let me know so I can research it further and change the call number if need be. A more common mistake is finding the call number that has been incorrectly capitalized or misspelled. Here you see that Zuzak should have been spelled Z-U-S. To correct an erroneous call number, connect the call number to a barcode on your shelf list. It helps to use a ruler. Get logged into Follett Destiny, leave the home page, and click on Catalog. Make sure you're in the Barcode tab. Type your barcode in. Look for and click on a little pencil icon on the right. Now we're in the Copies record. Looks like this. Under call number, delete the old call number and type in the new one. Click on Save Copy, and you're done. Now you should see the correct call number, which should read capital F, lowercase I, lowercase c, space, capital Z, lowercase I, lowercase n. Toward the top of this sample shelf list, I've handwritten the name of the author, Paul Zindel, for the title, The Gadget. This title is also incorrectly capitalized. How do we correct these title and author errors? Once again, use a ruler to connect the title and author to the barcode. Once you've determined the barcode, then you're going to go into Follett Destiny and begin to correct it. As a reminder, use the Catalog tab instead of the Home tab, and make sure you're under Barcode instead of Basic Search. Type your barcode into the find bar and hit Go. Instead of working in a single copy of a book, which would require the use of the pencil icon, you're going to work in the title. So click on Title Details. Unlike the title for Treasure Island, which we saw in Lesson 1, the gadget has very little information in the title details. To add details, click on the Edit Title box in the top right corner. If your title begins with a leading article, a, an, or the, put that word in a separate box specifically designated for the leading article. The first word of a title will always be capitalized. The most common rule for capitalizing titles in a library's catalog follows the same basic rule as capitalizing things in sentences. So proper nouns and proper adjectives would be capitalized, but all other words would not be capitalized. So let's make gadget lowercase. Most works of fiction don't have a subtitle, so you'll want to skip that since you're only working with fiction. Next, we'll type in the author's name, which I provided for you on the shelf list. Type the first name followed by the last name with no punctuation. In the second author section, you type the last name, a comma, and then the first name. Some authors will require a date as well, and the only way to find this is to go to the Library of Congress Authorities page. Google Library of Congress Authorities to locate this information. Make sure you're in the Name Authority headings. Type in the author's last name, comma, first name, and hit search. Here's Paul Zindel, and there's no date associated with it. After entering all relevant author information, save the title. Hit Select All to add correct punctuation to the information you entered. Click on Save Title, and now you can see that your title includes a correctly capitalized The Gadget, followed by Paul Zindel. Our call numbers look right. In the Explore section, it says Titles by Zindel, Paul. So we have added some useful information to this, although it's not complete just yet. Next, I want to talk about price errors. Look at the bottom two titles on this shelf list. They are both called North, and they have the same author. So why is one copy worth $5 but the other copy is worth $6? Prices can vary over time, so we need to make sure two copies have the same value for a simple reason. What if two friends check out and read the same book? It's actually very common in middle school. At a basketball game, their books are stolen. Would we charge one girl $5 and another girl $6 for the exact same book? In our next lesson, I'll go over how to update book prices so books that were purchased, say, 20 years ago reflect a more up-to-date replacement value. There are two areas I still want to go over, and those are the book status and circs or circulation. Okay, let's start with the book's status. So you've seen the price. The status could be available, in processing, or checked out. In processing could include that it's in the book hospital. What we call the book hospital means that the book was turned in for repairs, physical or possibly digital repairs. So you may discover a book that was highlighted in pink has already been corrected, especially if it said it was in processing. Even if it said it was checked out, a student may have turned it in for repairs. And then for circulations, you'll notice some books have 0 circulations and others have 100. This means how many times has it been checked out in the last 2 years. So if you're a little concerned and nervous and this is your first time to repair a book, start with one that has 0 circulations. They're not very popular and nobody's going to notice if you make mistakes. But don't be afraid of the books that have had 100 circulations either. I thank you deeply for all of your assistance because every correction you make makes it possible for students to find the book they want, and that's a good thing. So thanks again for your help.